All right, we are going to get started. Hello, everybody. My name is Hung Lu, and we are going to get started with today's Money Matters on Monday. It is November the 25th. Wow, this like November is flying by. And so the timing of this topic that's coming up today is very, very timely because of year end coming. And at some point, we all have to think about what to do with our RRSPs if we're going to do anything, and what else we can do with it to make it more tax efficient. So we are going to be talking about a strategy called RRSP Meltdown. So before I get into that, let me just do my proper welcome, because in the next 30 minutes, I always think it's like 15 minutes at the most, but then it somehow I always talk it through for a full 30 minutes. So today we are going to talk about the analysis, and I'll break down the calculation and talk a little bit about what the RRSP meltdown is, and we'll go through that calculation. So I come on every Monday and do some sort of calculation, some sort of analysis relating back to real estate. So I will link the RRSP meltdown to real estate. And so today we are going to talk about the meltdown. Now, before I do that, the reason why I do these calls, because I don't get paid for this, right? Like I come on and it's really my time. It's really to help you. Okay. So if you give me your time and watch this and come every Monday, you'll learn something new. Like that's my goal, is to teach you something new. And it's really to help you navigate through money issues and think strategically and invest your money very intentionally so that you make the best decisions for your money, for your family. Okay. So, to be able to do that with confidence. Okay. So because this is the RSPs related to money, please double check the information with a financial advisor, your lawyer, accountant, somebody else other than just this 30 minutes that you're going to get here with me. So we are going to do that. Okay, so before I forget, if you are into real estate, want to learn more about real estate, and you really are sort of stuck with your analysis, check out this QR code. Okay, it is the QR code to the landing page for my breakthrough analysis paralysis training. It's a group coaching session. So let me share what that looks like when you go on the site. Okay, this is one of the best ways to get the coaching that you're going to need to be able to navigate, to be able to look past the numbers and actually make sense of any of the opportunities that you're coming through. So this is the landing page here. So when you sign up, it's basically just a welcome page. You could sign up right away if you already know you want to do it. Okay, just talks about some of the benefits of the analysis. There's me, when I was doing my keynote speech in Edmonton at the RIA group. Okay, and we talk about why you may want to take this course. It's 4 sessions. It can be done in under a month, or it could be done over 3 months. It's entirely up to you, but you get me live, like in person, live on Zoom with you and a group of people. And we basically go through every single analysis, very similar to what we do on these calls, but they're very real estate focused. And you get to ask me all your questions relating to that specific calculation. Okay. Now, if you want to give this a test run because you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to actually do this type of coaching. Well, here's a free session. Come and attend this free session. We're doing one tomorrow evening. It is 7 p.m. PST time. So if you're in Toronto or like in the East Coast, it's going to be a little bit later, but let me tell you, it will be worth the 45 minutes that you give me. We usually do run a little bit over, so I do apologize for that, because there's always a lot of questions and a lot of sort of side conversations that makes that learning possible. Okay, so this is the analysis paralysis breakthrough coaching. So please, if you are interested in attending, sign up. It's a free session for the first one, and then after that, I do ask you to sign up for it. Okay, so let's get into the let's get into the meltdown. Okay, so this is the RRSP meltdown. Okay, and let me share with you another screen here. So this is the Excel sheet, and let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is one sheet. It's very simple. Okay, so what the RRSP meltdown is, you know, if you're fortunate enough to save money in your RSP, at some point you have to take that money out. And at some point, you're going to realize, oh, crap, you know what? It might not have been such a great idea to have so much money in my RRSP, because you're taxed at whatever marginal rate that you are at that time that you pull out the money. Well, let's just say you pull out 75, 100,000 for the year because you're retired and you need cash to live on. Well, now that bumps you to one of the higher marginal tax brackets automatically. Okay. So I realize that a lot of us are working right now and we're thinking, well, I'm already in the highest tax bracket now, so when I retire, I should have less income. Yes, in some cases that is true. But what usually happens is when you are in that retirement stage and you're pulling out, you know, you're decreasing your RSPs and you're pulling that out, you sort of already automatically go into the higher tax bracket without even realizing it. Okay. So the meltdown strategy basically is a strategy to pull out your RRSP money before you retire. So that way, by the time you retire, you don't have as much money sitting in your RSP. Okay. So the benefit of doing this is now you've taken it out of the RSP and you can do other things with it. And it doesn't, and once the money is out of your RSP, then it's not regulated as much with, you know, by the government. Like when it's in your RSP, you can only do, let's say your mutual funds, certain types of investments with your RSPs, or you could do like, say, a second private mortgage with your RSP, okay, which is fantastic. Like that's the way I've been going with my RSPs. Okay. But it's under regulations and it's monitored, right? And there's legalities and all that stuff. Well, if you can withdraw that money and not have to pay as much taxes on it at the time of withdrawal, right, then it might make sense for you to withdraw this money and do something else with it so that it's not locked in an RSP and not regulated, so highly regulated. Okay, so let's just walk through this idea here. So the benefit of doing the meltdown is if you have cash outside of your RSP and you're going to do a real estate investment anyways, okay, and you go and take out a loan for that investment, okay, the benefit of doing the meltdown is whatever interest you have to pay on that loan, okay, you can withdraw from your RSP that same amount and use that to pay the interest on that loan that you just got to do whatever real estate investment. Okay. And so now that interest that you've paid with your RSP, right, it balances out. So even though you're withdrawing money from your RSP and you have to pay taxes on it, well, you have an expense from a loan and those two cancel out. Okay. And now you have your cash out and now you've got an investment, hopefully real estate, and you've got that investment doing your camping for you. Okay. So you're camping the, what is it? Your amortization, your mortgage pay down. Okay. And so you want to look at, can I withdraw my funds from my RSP to pay for the interest on this loan so that I can go and do some real estate investing? Okay. So now it's a dollar for dollar on the interest that you have to pay on that loan. Okay. So keep that in mind. It's not like, oh, well, I'm going to borrow 50,000 and so I can withdraw 50,000 from RSP. No. It's not on the bigger amount. It's on the smaller amount of what your interest is. Okay. So let's just run through this calculation and see how it would work. Okay. So let's just say in this example, we're going to have a loan of $50,000. Okay. And so this may be a down payment for an opportunity. The interest on that is 4%. And so you're going to pay interest of $2,000 a year. And the calculation for that, so I'll make this a little bit bigger. Well, okay, it doesn't really matter. Okay, because you're not able to see the formula up in the bar. Okay, so the formula for that is your 50,000 times your 4%. That is how you calculate your interest only payment. So keep that in mind. It's interest only. So you're not paying the 50 down. Okay. So your interest only payment is $2,000 per year. Okay. So that means that you can withdraw money from your RSPs of $2,000 every single year to help you cover this interest only payment. Okay. So the thing to keep in mind now is that you're going to withdraw the funds from your RSP. Okay. Now there is a withholding tax on the money that you withdraw. So this is the thing that you need to keep in mind here, is that you are taxed on this money that you pull out. Okay. So, and what the banks do, or the institutions, what they do is they withhold a portion of the money that you withdraw to help you cover the taxation at the end of the year. Okay. Which is why I'm saying it's very timely that we're doing this, because if you want to take advantage of this, you want to do this before the end of the year so that you have it applying for the 2024 year. Okay. Now, of course, you can do this, let's say in like next year. Okay. But you also want to give this some thought, because if you're going to be topping up your RSP, let's say in January or February, you may not want to do a top up anymore. You might be like, oh, okay, well, wait a minute. If we're doing a meltdown to reduce our RSP, then why would I be topping it up in February? Okay. So yeah, so that's a bit of a different conversation there. Okay. So if you are withdrawing less than $5,000, there's a withholding tax of 10%. If you withdraw between 5 to 15,000, then it's 20%. And if you're withdrawing over 15,000, 1-5, it's a 30% withholding tax. Okay. That's quite a lot if you think about it. Now, this is excluding Quebec. So all the other provinces, this is the withholding tax that you have to do. If you're in Quebec, just Google it. Okay. I don't do enough real estate in Quebec for me to, and I don't live in Quebec. So for me, whatever the withholding tax is in Quebec, I don't really care. Okay. So let's calculate this. Okay. So if it's 5,000, okay, and let's just say this one here is 10,000, 2, 3, and this one is 20,000. Okay. Just so that you get an idea of what this holding tax is. Okay. So it's 5,000 times whatever this withholding tax is. Okay. So the amount that they will withhold for each of these numbers, depending on the percentage, is these numbers here. So all I did was I took the withdrawal amount times your withholding tax, and that's how much the institution is going to withhold. Okay. So if you wanted to take out 20,000, okay, you're over 15,000. So they're going to hold 30% of that, which is $6,000. So that means the institution is going to hold back $6,000. And so what you end up getting is the difference of that. Okay. So in this example that we're doing about the 20,000, you actually only get 14,000 of that. Okay. So you need to keep this withholding tax number or the calculation in mind, because you want to make sure that you pull out the amount that you actually need to go and spend, or the amount that you need to go and execute with. Okay. So just keep that in mind. All right. So in this case, we need $2,000 to pay, sort of to counterbalance the interest that we're going to pay on this $50,000 loan. Okay. So here the calculation is, okay, we need $2,000. So I need to withdraw $2,222.22. Okay. So once you withdraw that, then you'll have 2,000 left over. That 2,000 will cover your interest on the $50,000 for that year. Okay. So now, how did I calculate this $2,222? Okay. So it's a formula. It's it's an if formula. And basically I just put it in saying, okay, well, if it's less than 5,000, do this calculation. If it's over 15,000, then do this calculation. And then anything in between, like anything else, it's going to be between the 5 to 15. Okay. So now if you look at the formula here, it's basically taking the amount that I need, like the 2,000 in this case, and I'm going to divide it by 0.9, because 0.9 is what I get to keep. If it's over 15,000, then I'm dividing it by 0.7. Okay, whatever the amount is that I need, it's going to be divided by 0.7 because that's how much I get to keep. Okay, and then the very last calculation would be the if statement is if it's between the 5 and the 15,000. Okay, then I'm going to be keeping only 80% of that. So that's why the formula here is to be divided by 0.8%. Okay, so if you need that formula, okay, it's easy enough to do, but if you need that formula, comment below and I'll put it in the chat box for you. Okay, but this is where that breakthrough analysis sessions really help because we go through stuff like this. Like if you present some sort of opportunity and we need to come up with a new formula for it, it's not really a new formula. Like real estate is so try and test it that it's really not a new thing anymore, but it's getting it into an Excel sheet so that we're not manually doing the math and making mistakes when we do the math, right? Because it's already tested and verified, and you know, and if you use it enough times, you'll have confidence in the numbers. Okay, so let's just say, okay, so let's run through an example here with some bigger numbers. So I'm getting ready to do my 8-plex build in Edmonton. Okay, and with that, we're taking out, you know, a $340,000 loan, $340,000. Okay, so now not all of that's going to go to the 8-plex. Okay, so some of that's going to go to the 8-plex. So, but there's going to be a loan of $340,000. Okay, so now let's just say that the loan interest is 12%. Okay, yes, loans for construction is 12%, and especially if you're doing, let's say, a HELOC loan, you're looking at 12 to 15%. Like it's high. So that's where you have to make sure that the opportunity you're working on makes sense for this. Okay, like in my 8-plex build, I'm expecting a 20+% return on my money. Okay, so to have to pay 12%, I'm making that difference. Okay, so here I'm paying $40,000 in interest just for this loan. Okay, and it's interest only. Okay, so interest only. Let me put that in here in big capitals. Okay, so interest only, $40,000. That's a lot. Okay, so based on this $40,000, I need to withdraw, or I can withdraw up to $58,000 of my RRSP money to help me cover. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, because I'm going to withdraw $58,000 and then 40 of that, which is what I get to keep, is going to go to pay off this loan. Okay, so I don't have to actually, you know, have extra cash to pay this off because the RSP money is going to come to me and then I'm going to go do this loan. Okay, so think of it that way. So I don't need to have an extra $40,000. Like I've already put 58,000 of my cash, you know, like when I was working as an engineer. So here's a shout out to my old Buckman family. Thank you. You know, working with Buckman as my first job out of university was amazing. Not only did I learn so much from Michael and the team there, the great thing about Buckman Laboratories is that they gave me a 1-to-1 match on my RRSP. Okay, so big shout out to them. They are actually in Montreal or Laval, and so I had the pleasure of working with them and really benefiting from this 1-to-1 matching RRSP. So if you don't know what that means, ask your financial advisor, because if you have an RRSP matching program at your company, take advantage of it. Even if you're not a believer in RRSPs, take advantage of it. That's free money. Okay, so hi, Buckman family. Okay, so that is the RRSP meltdown. So let me just run through some of my notes because I wanted to make sure that I cover all of this, because this is one of the best ways of tapping into your RRSPs now without waiting until your retirement age to tap into it. Take the money out now and start utilizing it for investments. Okay, so yeah, so the meltdown is also known as early RSP withdrawals. Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there. Okay, so this is an important point. So there are a lot of opportunities now in real estate that you can just leave your money in your RSP and invest in real estate through your RSPs. Okay, so there is that option. and I'm a believer in doing that strategy as well. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that if you leave the money in your RRSP and go and participate in these other projects, usually those projects are not your own project, which is fine. But also they end up staying in the RRSP or the registered funds or your TFSA as well. They end up staying in there and then growing. And so now you're going to be taxed on the bigger amount when you pull it out. Okay. So it's sort of like, well, that's great, isn't it? Because the money's growing in my RRSP and it's tax free. Yes, it's tax free now, but when you pull it out and it's already increased in value, you're going to be taxed on that gain in the future. Okay. So keep in mind that, the sooner you pull it out and do your investments, that's not taxed the same way. It's a different type of tax. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so we talked about taking out a loan. So it needs to be a loan coming, like you need to borrow that money in order to do this. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, so the calculation here that we're doing is making sure that you're withdrawing the amount that you need to make it the most tax efficient. If you over withdraw, then it's not as tax efficient because now you don't have another project to go and deploy that cash on. So you only want to take out what you need. Okay, so let's do that. We talked about that. Okay. Yeah, so we talked about being too aggressive, and that's where if you just withdraw too much. Okay. Yeah, and so you want to consider doing this meltdown, starting it now and figuring out how much of a meltdown you need to do all the way through until the time that you retire. Okay. Okay. Yeah. And the other thing that we didn't talk about with this is, once you pull this out and you put it into real estate, it's not as liquid as some other investments, like with stocks and stuff. So if you decide that you don't want to do real estate, double check with your financial advisor and just make sure that you can do this strategy for stocks, because stocks are a lot more liquid. Not one that I would recommend just because there's a lot more fluctuations in stocks. But if you want that liquidity, then you might want to look at stocks. Okay. And then the other thing that we're not talking about here is the capital gains on the investments that you make with the money that you borrow. Okay. That is a completely different calculation and consideration. Okay. So we are on the 30-minute timeline. See, so if there is any questions about this session, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am happy to continue this example, this calculation, if there is an interest on hearing more about it. Okay, other than that, thank you so very much, everybody, for watching, and I will see you next Monday. Thanks, everybody.